They told me to get out of my own home the day I buried my husband. I hadn't even taken off the black dress yet. The house still smelled like lilies and incense. People had just left, neighbors, distant relatives, voices full of sympathy that disappeared the moment the door closed. And then I heard it. Pack your things and get out. Your place is outside the building entrance. My mother-in-law's voice, cold, certain, like she had been waiting for this moment. I was standing in the hallway, just out of sight, my hands still on the wall for balance. For a second, I thought I misheard her. I hadn't. My father-in-law didn't argue, didn't hesitate, didn't even lower his voice. "She's not family anymore," he said, not without him. 8 years of marriage erased in a sentence. I didn't walk in right away. I just stood there listening to them decide my life like I wasn't even in the house, like I was already gone. What they didn't know, what I hadn't told anyone, was that my husband had left me something before he died. Not just memories, not just grief. $200 million and a house in Italy with my name on it. I had said nothing at the funeral. Nothing during the condolences, nothing while they looked at me like I had nothing left. So when I finally stepped into the room, I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just nodded. "Okay," I said quietly. Then I went to my room and made a decision that would change everything. I didn't pack everything, just what I needed. A suitcase, documents, my passport, and one small envelope I had kept hidden since the hospital. My husband had given it to me 2 days before he died. "Don't open it here," he had said. "Wait until you're alone." I hadn't understood why until now. I sat on the edge of the bed, hands steady, and opened it. Inside, a letter and a set of legal documents. His handwriting was unmistakable. "If you're reading this, it means I wasn't there to protect you anymore." I swallowed hard and kept reading. "My parents will try to control everything. The house, the accounts, maybe even you." He knew. Every word felt like it had been written for this exact moment. Don't argue with them. Don't fight. Let them believe what they want. I paused because that's exactly what I had just done. Everything important is already secured. The funds, the properties, they're in your name. Not shared, not accessible, only yours. 200 million, the house in Italy, all of it untouchable. I let out a slow breath, then finished the letter. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. I folded the paper carefully and placed it back in the envelope. Outside, I could hear movement, drawers opening, footsteps. They weren't waiting for me to leave. They were preparing for it. I stood up, closed my suitcase, and took one last look around the room. Not at the furniture, not at the walls, but at the version of myself that had stayed quiet for too long. Then I picked up my bag and walked out exactly the way they wanted, without a fight, without a word. Because they thought they were removing me, they didn't realize I was about to remove something else. I didn't go far, just across the street. There was a small cafe on the corner, quiet, half empty, the kind of place no one pays attention to. I took a seat by the window, set my suitcase beside me, and ordered coffee. I didn't drink. From there, I could see the building, my building, or at least the one they thought was theirs now. Lights turned on one by one, shadows moving behind curtains. They weren't grieving, they were settling in. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. There were already missed calls, unknown numbers, probably relatives, maybe lawyers. I ignored all of them and opened something else instead. An email, the one my husband had sent me months ago, marked important, never explained at the time. Now I understood why. Attached were documents, ownership records, account confirmations, and one line that stood out more than anything. Primary control holder, Elena Rossi. My name, not his parents'. Mine. Everything connected to him. His business shares, the properties, the accounts, legally separated, redirected, protected. I leaned back slowly, watching the building across the street. They're not family anymore, not without him. My father-in-law's words echoed in my head. He was right about one thing. They weren't family anymore, but not for the reason he thought. I opened my contacts and selected a number I hadn't used yet. The estate attorney, the one my husband trusted, the one who already knew everything. The call connected on the first ring. "Mrs. Rossi," he said calmly. "I think it's time," I replied. And across the street, they had no idea the clock had just started. "Good," the attorney said. "I was expecting your call." That didn't surprise me. My husband never left things unfinished. "I've been removed from the house," I said calmly. "They've made it clear I'm not welcome." A pause. Then, "That simplifies things." I looked back at the building. Lights on, movement inside, comfort. "Walk me through it," I said. His voice stayed steady. "Everything tied to your husband's estate, assets, accounts, properties, is already transferred. His parents have no legal claim." I assumed that. "What you may not realize," he continued, "is the residence they're currently occupying is registered under a holding structure connected to you." I went still. "Meaning?" I asked. "Meaning they're not owners," he said. "They're occupants, and as of today, unauthorized."
Unauthorized. The word settled differently. Not emotional, not personal. Legal. Clean. "What are my options?" I asked. "You can let them stay," he said, "or you can initiate removal." I watched the front door open briefly. My mother-in-law stepped out, speaking on the phone, pacing like she already owned everything. Behind her, I thought about her voice. "Your place is outside the building entrance." I let that sit for a moment. Then I answered, "Start the process." "Understood." No hesitation, no questions, just action. I ended the call and sat there in silence for a few seconds. Not angry, not shaking, just clear. They had already decided what I was worth without him. Now they were about to learn what they were worth without me. And this time, it wouldn't be a conversation. It would be paperwork. The notice was delivered the next morning, not by me, but by a courier in a dark suit who didn't knock twice. I was across the street again, sitting in the same cafe, same seat by the window. This time I had coffee in front of me. I still wasn't drinking. I saw the door open. My father-in-law answered, took the envelope, didn't think much of it at first. Then he opened it. Everything changed. Even from across the street I could see it, the way his posture stiffened, the way his eyes slowed over the page, the way he read it again just to make sure.
Then my mother-in-law appeared behind him, impatient. "Who is it?" He didn't answer, just handed her the paper. She read it faster, too fast, then stopped, went back to the top, read it again, this time slower. That's when she looked up, not confused, not angry, alarmed. I leaned back slightly in my chair, watching. They stepped outside together, voices rising now, no longer controlled. "What is this?" she demanded. "Eviction notice," he said, voice tight. "Eviction from where?" He didn't answer right away, because he didn't need to. They both turned and looked at the building behind them, the one they thought was theirs, the one they had just thrown me out of. I picked up my phone. Right on time, it started ringing. My mother-in-law. I let it ring once, then answered. Her voice wasn't cold anymore. "Where are you?" she asked. I looked straight at her through the glass window across the street. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Silence. Then quieter. "What is this?" I didn't raise my voice, didn't explain. I just said one thing. "It's ownership," and ended the call. They came to the cafe 10 minutes later, not walking, rushing. The door swung open hard enough that people turned. For a second, no one recognized me, not until my mother-in-law saw where I was sitting. Her steps slowed, then stopped. "Sarah," she began. "Elena," I corrected calmly. My name, my real one, not the version they used when they needed something.
She froze for a second, then forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "There's been a mistake," she said quickly, sliding into the chair across from me without asking. "This notice? Someone clearly got something wrong." My father-in-law stayed standing, holding the paper like it might change if he looked at it long enough. "No mistake," I said. Her smile tightened. "You don't understand how these things work," she continued, voice softer now. "The house, this property, it belongs to the family." I held her gaze. "It does," I said. Relief flashed across her face. "Just not your part of it." That ended. The smile disappeared. My father-in-law stepped forward. "We've lived there for years," he said. "You can't just remove us like this." "I didn't," I replied. You removed yourselves. Silence, sharp, because we all knew what I meant. My mother-in-law leaned closer, voice dropping. Listen carefully, she said. We can resolve this privately. There's no need to escalate. It's already escalated. Her eyes flickered for the first time. Not control, not certainty, uncertainty, because the version of me they expected to break was sitting right in front of them and not moving.
They didn't argue after that, not really. They shifted. The tone changed. First, my son wouldn't have wanted this, my mother-in-law said quietly, like she was trying something softer now. I let that sit for a second, then answered just as quietly. My husband made sure this would happen. That stopped her completely, because now it wasn't me, it was him, and they couldn't argue with him anymore. My father-in-law finally sat down, slower this time. He wouldn't turn his back on his own parents, he said. I looked at him. He didn't, I replied. He just made sure you couldn't turn on me. Silence, heavy, final. They had built everything on one assumption, that I was alone, that without him, I had no protection, no authority, no voice. They were wrong. They always had been. My mother-in-law's hands tightened around the edge of the table. What do you want? She asked finally. Not a demand, a question. That was new. I didn't answer right away. I looked past them, through the glass at the building across the street. Lights still on, doors still open, but no longer theirs. Nothing, I said. They both frowned. Then why are you doing this? My father-in-law asked. I stood up slowly, picking up my bag, because the answer wasn't complicated. It never was. Because you told me where my place was, I said calmly. I met her eyes one last time, and I believed you. Then I turned and walked out, leaving them there for the first time without control. They didn't leave the house right away. Of course they didn't. People like them never believe the first notice is real, or the second, or even the third. They believe in delay, in influence, in the idea that things will bend if they push hard enough. But this time, nothing bent. The second notice came with a deadline. The third came with enforcement. By the fourth day, they were packing. Not arguing, not calling, just quiet. I didn't go back while they were there. I didn't need to watch. I had already seen enough. When I finally returned, the house was empty. No voices, no movement, no presence trying to claim space that wasn't theirs. Just silence. Clean, final. I walked through the room slowly. Nothing had changed physically, but everything felt different, lighter, like something had been removed that didn't belong.
On the kitchen counter, there was a note, my mother-in-law's handwriting. You didn't have to do this. I read it once, then folded it. Because she was wrong. I did. Not for revenge, not for money, for something simpler. For clarity. Because the moment they told me my place was outside, they made a decision. I just answered it. I walked to the window, looking out at the street below. Same view, same city, different life. My husband had protected me, not with words, not with promises, but with structure, with decisions made long before I needed them. And now, for the first time since he was gone, I wasn't being pushed out. I was standing exactly where I belonged.